Hey y'all, what's going on? Pavel with DIT Media here, and today I'm gonna be talking about probably the last camera that I will buy, at least for a long while. So I've actually been wanting this camera pretty much since it came out, and I was, at the time, about 2 years ago when it did come out, I was like, well, I can't really justify it. I was like, I don't have, the budget or the clientele or any really specific needs for it. And at that point, I just bought my very favorite XT3. So this became my basically go-to camera for everything, and still is for pretty much most things. And I love it. I love it to death. I never posted really a review about it, which I will do. It's going to be called something along the lines of Fujifilm still worth after 2 years, or Fujifilm XT3 still worth it after 2 years, because that camera is incredible. And I truly believe that it really is, it delivers on performance and so many other things. But regardless, this video is not about XT3. This video is about a different beast, and that beast is Fujifilm GFX 50R medium format camera. And the reason why I said it might be the last camera that I will buy for at least a very long while is because between the XT3 and the GFX 50R, you can do everything. And I mean it. I mean literally everything. You can cover, no matter what your job is, you will be able to deliver with those two cameras. So I recently, and by recently, I mean at the time of this recording, I've bought the 50R, or just GFXR if you would, because 50S, 50R is GFXR. I bought it about a couple of days ago, and it is mind-blowing. I mean, I played around with it at trade shows like Cinegear. I also played with the GFX 100, the original one, obviously not the 100S, because that one is not even available to pretty much anybody at this point. And I was impressed. I was like, wow, this is really good. But at trade shows, you don't really have the subjects to test it out with. You don't really have the time or the really patience to test it out, because you got booths and stuff that you want to go to, that you want to get to, that you want to see all the new stuff that comes out. But finally, after acquiring this beast, along with a 45 to 100 millimeter GF mount lens, because it is a different mount for those of you who are not familiar with medium format or GFX medium format. It is a different mount, and it is a different beast, really. It's a different set of lenses. It's a different sensor. It is bigger than full frame. And so what made me finally jump the gun and make the purchase is the fact that the GFX 100S got announced and is going to be coming out sometime in March, or God knows when, because based on the amount of pre-orders that came in, Fujifilm literally published and said that, we cannot... we did not anticipate that many people wanting to buy this camera, so we will fulfill orders on as-need basis, which is kind of nuts. But it makes sense. I mean, for $6,000 for the body, you get an absolute just photography machine that will obliterate, and I mean this, obliterate any full-frame camera. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Nikon, Canon, Sony, all put together. It will completely and utterly smoke the living crap out of those cameras in certain areas. So for those of you who are not familiar with medium format, and you're looking at this video and you're saying, well, wow, man, that's really expensive for the camera. And yes, it is. However, you always need to make these analyses in comparison. And basically what happens is, the GFX 50R currently new on B&H and Adorama and all those places is $4,500 for the body only. No lenses, no nothing. Fujifilm does a sale twice a year on this camera. Usually, I think it's twice a year. Maybe it's more than that. But they do a sale on it, and it's basically for $3,500. You can get into the medium format space, which is absolutely incredible and mind-blowing. They also, lenses for this camera are expensive. It's medium format lenses. Medium format lenses have always been expensive because they are more expensive to make. They have more glass in them. They're bigger. I mean, look at the size of this thing, okay? By comparison, by the way, this is the X-T3 with a 16 to 80 millimeter lens. So as you can see, the size is quite drastically different. So with GFX 50R or GFX-R, what can you really do? What is it great at? What is it absolutely gonna obliterate any other camera in? If you are doing architecture, if you're doing portraiture, if you're doing landscape photography, product photography, this camera will smoke the crap out of any other camera there is out there, except for obviously the GFX 100, the GFX 100S, and certain other medium format cameras like, Phase 1, Hasselblad, etc. Although I will touch on a Hasselblad in a little bit. So I was gonna get, a full frame camera to compensate for the fact that, X-T3 is wonderful and fantastic at pretty much everything. However, when it comes to portraiture, when it comes to interiors, shooting, when it comes to landscapes, etc., it is not ideal. And by not ideal, I'm really being nitpicky here. By the way, let me just get this off the bat. If you're new to photography and you're looking for a camera to do it all and you want to start with, get an X-T3. It's for the money. You're going to get an incredible package. It will last you way into the future. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So when I say not ideal, what I mean is it's no crap by no means, because I've shot hundreds of portraits with it. I've shot a ton of landscapes. I've shot a ton of corporate gigs, basically on-set photography, like BTS type stuff and all that junk. So it is incredible. It is excellent. I have convinced 3 other people to buy it, and they've all been incredibly happy. They could not shut up about it. They've been incredibly thankful for the fact that, I recommended it, etc., etc. So, however, as I said, it is not ideal. And by not ideal, I mean really nitpicky here, being really, really nitpicky. So what I thought, I was like, well, I'm just going to get a full-frame camera like a Nikon D850, which is not mirrorless camera. It's a DSLR, but it still is absolutely incredible. It is way better than any Z camera out there. And yes, come on, you can come and hate on me for that. It is way better. It's going to smoke the freaking everything out of any Z camera, Nikon Z camera out there. And many others, actually. It's basically like the D850 is a legendary camera. It's absolutely incredible. So the reason I decided to go with a medium format as opposed to full frame is because I picked this camera up for $3,000. Nikon D850 is $3,000. Now, obviously, certain lenses for Nikon are cheaper than the GF lenses. But to me, that really doesn't matter. I mean, overall, you're talking about saving maybe $1,000 here and $1,000 there. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't mean that much. And I really mean that. Because when you invest into photography gear, etc., you're talking about thousands of dollars of investment. At this point, you can't really be nitpicky about things. So the reason I went for this is because I wanted to have the best. And GFX 50R is absolutely incredible. You can pick it up on eBay for about... I've had some offers in the past several days that will sell it to me for about $2,800, which is mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And when I picked this camera up a couple of days ago and I started doing some basic tests on it, which basically you can take a look. I will include several pictures right now. What I could not understand was I looked at the reviews of the camera by all these review sites and YouTubers and all that junk. And the main cons of the camera that they've put up is, oh, well, the autofocus is slow. And I was like, And I picked this camera up and I started doing focus racking, basically back and forth from the talent to the wall, from the wall to the talent. This thing is fast. It is incredibly fast when you compare it to other medium format cameras. Do not compare a medium format to a full frame camera. Do not compare a medium format to an X-T3 APS-C sized camera, okay? Different beasts made for different purposes, okay? Medium format is not, and I repeat this, it is not for sports, action, and wildlife shooting or photojournalism. You do not bring this thing to photograph the protests. You do not bring this thing to photograph soccer games. You do not bring this thing to photograph, I don't know, a bird sitting on a tree, a kilometer away. You do not do that with this thing. You do not do that with this. This camera, for the most part, especially if you pick up a GFX 50S or a 100, those cameras are really meant to be in the studio. Like, they're meant to be sitting on a tripod, not be touched by anybody except for the person who it belongs to, and they're made to be a studio shooting camera. They're not made to be hauled around and being packed, and you take it to Machu Picchu and all that junk, okay? That's not what they are for. However, I will argue that the GFX 50R, based on the way that it is done and the way that it is designed, it is absolutely portable. And actually, originally, I was going to go and get the GFX 50S, but I got the 50R because it is so freaking portable, and the button design is absolutely incredible. The way that Fujifilm designed the body of this camera and the way that they laid out all the buttons is absolutely incredible. It's intuitive. It's so easy to use. I gave this camera to somebody who never touched one, and they were able to shoot with it within 3 seconds. Because you got your shutter speed dial right here. The aperture on the GFX lenses is right here on the lens, like it's supposed to be. Okay? And also the ISO, I programmed to be basically this dial right here, because I don't use this for shutter or anything. I adjust the shutter speed right here. So I programmed this dial to be the ISO. So you got ISO, shutter speed, and apertures on the front. So what the heck else do you need? Okay? Incredibly simple. There's a drive button right here, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 programmable buttons on this camera. You can map them to whatever you want, and the Fujifilm menu system is incredibly easy to use, unlike some other camera companies. Well, consumer electronics companies, sorry. So it is incredibly intuitive, incredibly easy to use, very, very wonderful camera. So what about the speed and the image output? It's incredible. It's 50 megapixel sensor, and yes, the other complaint that just cracked me the hell up in these reviewers is the fact that they said, well, this camera is an old sensor. And I was just like, old sensor, huh? I was like, okay, give me a single freaking camera that came out in 2020 or 2021. Pick any of them, absolutely any of them, and give them to me side by side with this camera for still photography. And it will obliterate and smoke the living crap out of any competitor in terms of image output, in terms of resolution, in terms of detail, in terms of croppability, in terms of enlargement, in all of those areas, and in terms of color science. Incredible color science. Fujifilm nailed that stuff. I would say that I prefer the BSI sensor that is, for example, in my X-T3 and also is in the new GFX 100 and 100S. I prefer that, but again, I'm being super nitpicky. It's like picking between a Lamborghini and a Ferrari. It's like, well, you get the point. It's not important. It delivers, the highlight retention is absolutely crazy. The detail is crazy. Autofocus performance, when again compared to other medium format cameras, is incredibly fast. It is blazing fast. I was actually amazed at how fast it was. Because I couldn't believe it, and my buddy was with me when I bought it, and I was like, dude, this is kind of nuts. I was like, that's really pretty crazy that this camera is so bloody fast. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I did not expect that at all. So the fact is I bought this camera for $3,200. So I spent $3,200 plus $2,000 on the lens and 2 batteries. So with taxes, give or take $3,500 of my own money. Nobody gave this to me. Nobody loaned this to me. Nobody rented it to me. I spent my own earned money and bought this piece of gear. So when I'm telling you that this thing is incredible and it can deliver absolute stunning results, it is simply true, because I'm not affiliated with anybody. I'm not selling anything. I'm not interested in peddling the crap that you're gonna hate. And, you know, as I always like to say, don't take my word for it. If you have a local, photography store, or if you have a, online you can rent from somebody, just rent it. If you think about buying a full frame camera, like let's say you're thinking about buying like a high megapixel count full frame camera, Sony A7R4 or A7R3, Panasonic S1H or S1R, can't remember which one is like the higher megapixel count. Even Nikon D850, if you're thinking about buying a Nikon D850, I highly recommend just rent this camera, get a 45 to 100 millimeter lens with it. That's what I have. And the next lens I'm going to be buying for this is going to be the 23 millimeter f4. And after that is going to be 100 to 200 millimeter f5.6. And maybe I will get either an 80 millimeter 1.7 and a 110 f2. Maybe. I'm not completely sold on those, but I want a wide angle lens, and I also want a really tight telephoto lens. Both of those are about used. You can get them between $1,500 to $2,000 a lens. Which again, when you compare it to like Nikon professional grade zooms, like 70 to 200 zooms, that's what they cost. They also cost like $2,000 a piece. So it's, people that say, oh my God, it's so expensive. It's like, well, compare to what? Like, when you compare to professional photography full frame gear, it costs about the same. And reality is certain shoots, you will not be able to get in the door unless you have a medium format camera. That's just how those people roll. They're like, we want the maximum resolution, we want the maximum croppability, we want, the most importantly, we want the medium format look. Okay? And there is a medium format look. And as somebody who also has a Hasselblad 500 CM, and for those of you film people, you know what that camera is. It's basically a legendary status Hassie that's been around, since like the 1960s. The picture of Earth from the moon was made with a Hasselblad medium format camera, for Christ's sake. So like, for those of you who are interested in film and know film, 500 CM Hasselblad is like a legendary freaking camera, and I have one. And somebody who shot that is incredible. On film, it's incredible. This is incredible, okay? Once you get into medium format, there's really no going back. And of course, granted, as I said, high-end, photojournalism, sports, action, wildlife photojournalism, all of those I can do, BTS photography, all of those I can do with the XT3. XT3 delivers mind-blowing results when it comes to that. Fast autofocus, incredible image output. You combine that with strobes or flash. Jesus, the pictures that came out of this camera, and I pre-ordered this when it came out, is incredible. This one, however, I could not afford until recently, and I'm very happy. I am very, very happy with the purchase. So, again, if you don't trust me, don't take my word for it. Go rent one. If you have a buddy that has one, play around with it. I really think that, all of those reviewers and all of these photography sites really do not do this camera justice. I think they, for some reason or another, maybe they just don't understand it. They don't understand what medium format is. Because medium format is not meant to be fast autofocus, not meant to be all this crazy tracking. It's not meant to be that. And yeah, great. I mean, the new 100S probably included all of that in there. Okay? So I bet you they did. And for the price, it's like, if you do portraiture or landscapes, for the price, it's like, do you really want to get the Sony a7S III or a7R4? That's like $3,500 or $4,000 when you can get this? Like, I can't justify that. So, yeah. So I don't know what else to say. I'm very happy with it. I've spent the last 2 days really photographing all kinds of different things with it. Nothing fancy, you know. I didn't carry any flashes with me or anything. I'll show you some examples in the video. And you can see for yourself, and also just go and Google, GFX 50R pictures of 50S. 50R and 50S, by the way, same sensor, same image processor, same engine, just different style body. That's all. That's the only difference. Everything else is absolutely the same, just like it is between the GFX 100 and GFX 100S. Same engine, same everything, different style body. That's all. So again, don't take my word for it. Go test it out yourself. Go take a look at it. You will not be unhappy. It's absolutely crazy. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity, because you look at these reviews and they really downplay. They really, really downplay how good this camera really is. It's incredible. I mean, if you cannot take a good picture with this, then maybe reconsider your career choices. And I don't mean to be negative about that. I just, it's so easy to work with this camera. It's absolutely incredible. Anyway, don't want to be rambling here for too much. If you have any questions about the GFX 50R, if you have any questions about the Fujifilm X-T3 or any other really camera related questions, lenses, if you're interested in which lenses I use and what I use them for, etc., please leave a comment. I try to get back to you. I try to get back to comments as quick as I can. Sometimes for some reason, like in YouTube, that like displays late that I had a comment, and like I get back to people late, and I kind of feel bad about it. So please leave those comments. I will get back to you sooner or later, but I prefer to get back to you sooner than later. I try my best to do that. The last thing I will mention is, just to be fair, is at this point right now, if you do really high-end architecture, there are no GF native tilt shift lenses. So that is kind of a bummer. I really, really, really wish that GFX or Fujifilm really made a tilt shift lens for the GFX system, because as soon as that happens, they will smoke the market in that. Everybody that does that stuff will just buy one, because it's absolutely essential. You can adapt Nikon or Canon tilt shift lenses to this beast. It will vignette after you tilt past a certain point. Every lens is different, essentially. And those adapters, you can look them up. They vary in price, but the latest lenses, which all have electronic contacts, those adapters are anywhere from $250 to $400 a piece. So again, not cheap. The other thing, just to be fair, is minimal focusing distance, meaning the distance between your subject and the lens before you can no longer focus is about 3 feet. Pretty steep. So you gotta basically keep your camera about 3 feet away from the subject to really nail the focus, because the closer you get, it's all gonna be out of focus. What Fujifilm does have is they have the macro tube extensions that basically shrink that focal distance. So that's how you can get away with shooting like macro stuff, for example, on this lens. I have not gotten one yet because I just blew $5,000 on this stuff. So as soon as I can afford it, I will be getting that adapter, and I will get back to you guys and tell you how it performs. But from all the things that I've heard and seen, people are pretty happy with it. So those, I think, are the two biggest things to consider, and the biggest, I wouldn't call them drawbacks. I mean, even if you go to like Hasselblad's lenses, the minimal focal distance for like my 150 millimeter Sonar Zeiss lens on that camera is like, Jesus, like 5 feet. It's like nuts. So again, it's medium format is a different beast. It's a different type of camera. It's a different type of technology. Well, not really. I don't want to get into that, but it's used for different things. It's different application. It's just like you would not want to have like a tractor trailer compete in a NASCAR race, okay? Like, this is your speed speed guy right here. This is the NASCAR car. This is the Formula One speed first. Let's go full gear, pedal to the metal. This is what this is for. This is the X-T3. Slow, methodical, ultimate image output 18-wheeler that delivers the results no matter the situation is this guy. Okay, so just keep that analogy in mind. And again, guys, don't take anything that I say. Go check it out. Go see for yourself. You will be impressed. Anyways, just wanted to include those things as a disclaimer because people will yell in the comments and say, "Well, it doesn't have the tilt shift lenses." So I don't want to deal with that. So just kind of I want to get it. I wanted to get those things out the way. And again, any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't ramble for too long. Oh gosh, how long was that? Oh geez, I'm at 26 minutes. Good Lord. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope you found some useful information. If you have specific questions about GFX, GFXR or GFX line of cameras, X-T3 or any other, I used to own X-T2 as well. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And I hope you found this video interesting, and I will see you guys in the next one.